Hi, Honest Discussioner here. As some of you may know, I went to Occupy Philadelphia with my friend Sean Philly the other day, and we interviewed a bunch of people and tried to get a sense of what's going on down there. Now, I don't know if we can apply what interviews I said to the entire group as a whole, as the whole Occupy movement at least. For one, the day that I went, it was relatively rainy, so it might not have been as busy as it could have been, and at the same time, I only interviewed a handful of people. So hopefully I'm going to do the best I can to show you some of the clips on some of the interviews, and then after each interview I'll comment on them and tell you what my thoughts on what they're saying are. Also, working with me here is Sean Philly. If you look in the underbar, there's going to be his blog linking. I'll link to his blog about the event, so you can get his perspective as well. I encourage you to read that and get as many sides to the issue as you possibly can. So now I'm going to show you someone who apparently was the communications director for Occupy Philadelphia, and her name is Robin. There we go.
Hi. Here at Occupy Philly, we haven't come up with a cohesive message yet, largely because this is such a diverse group of people. We're trying to make sure that everybody's voice is heard and that we move slowly and that everybody is patient and respectful as we try to figure out what exactly it is we want to bring to the public and to the government and to everyone. I guess the message, in my opinion, as of now, that we would like to get across, besides the one that most people are talking about, getting money out of politics, is that what we've done here is created a community in under a week that is functioning in the way that we would idealistically like to see our society running. We realize that everybody here is incredibly diverse and comes from various backgrounds with lots of different stories and opinions, and we're making sure that as problems arise, they're dealt with accordingly, trying to make sure that everybody feels loved and accepted and respected here. This community is providing direct social services to everyone, regardless of their station, where they come from. We have a large population of homeless people here that feels, for probably the first time in at least a long time, that they're being heard and that they have a home. They're able to sleep here because we have a legal right to be here. We have a permit. I've been told that the police have been ushering homeless people here. We're providing everyone in this whole space, everybody that comes through, with food, with shelter, with comfort in the form of blankets and tarps and tents and clothing. We have medical support 24 hours a day in multiple locations. We have safety and security, making sure that people are safe and secure at all times, 24 hours a day. They're on patrol. We have media, we have tech, we have legal, we have education, free education for the people, no matter who they are. You know, these are things that I believe we need in this world, all over the place. And that's a message that I think right now needs to be sent to the people of Philadelphia and the nation. So,
as far as you personally are concerned, is there anything you would put as paramount as far as importance for what you would want to see the government doing? Is there any action you would want, any type of legislation you think the government should be putting in? I'm sure you have plenty of things you'd like to see, but what do you think is the most important?
Well, I believe that this is a systemic issue. What we're fighting here is, you know, I think that our system is broken. I think it's probably been breaking for a long time, and I think it's about time that something like this happened. Legislatively speaking, I think that, well, I guess before that, I think that a show of support from the government at all levels, whether it be local city hall here, Pennsylvania, you know, in Harrisburg, or the U.S. government, needs to support what we're doing here as an act of our right to free speech and expression and citizens of this country that they were elected to represent. I think that's first and foremost. In terms of policy, I believe that there need to be much firmer regulations on the way that money is influencing politics. I believe that.
So you think the greatest policy, the thing that's most important to you policy-wise is getting money out of politics? Is there any other policies you think are more important than that? As of right now?
Well, you know, I guess not. There are a lot of things. I think that the money that we do have available to us, in the federal government or at all levels of government, needs to be redistributed more equitably. That's a huge thing that. Our education is suffering, our social welfare, our social services are suffering. People that are trying to create an equitable, an equal, healthy, happy society are unable to do their jobs because they're not getting the money that they need. And, there's money like, the gigantic amount of money that's going into military operations, for example, I believe should not be.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Can I get your name? Is that all right?
Yeah, my name's Robin. It's Robin with a Y.
Okay, thank you.
Now, my first impression of Robin is probably a little bit different than my impression after rewatching the footage. It sounded as if at first, as though she was just advocating some sort of hippie commune or something along those lines. When she's talking about how everyone's coming together and bringing homeless involved and just, love and all that stuff. After looking at it again, my first impressions were wrong. It seems as though she's setting this up as an example of not how she just wants, that area to run, but as a model for just government and society in general. That problems are dealt with as they arise without the regard for necessarily special interests, but with the regard as for the community or society as a whole. At least that's what it sounded like to me. Now, full disclosure, I had a theory going into this. Whether or not that theory is confirmed or disproven, it's a little bit difficult to say. But I should make you aware of what my theory is so that you have any to get any bias out of the way. My theory is that for the most part, while there is a diverse amount of opinions, there's probably one very important issue that virtually everyone agrees upon, and that is getting money out of politics. Now here I asked Robin what I thought was the most important policy decision. I hopefully did not try to lead her to the conclusion that getting money out of politics was the most important thing. She said that on her own. And she went off on before how she wants the government to show signs of support for the protesters. But when asked specifically about policy, the first thing, after thinking about it, she could not come up with the more important thing than getting money out of politics. Not everyone necessarily shared her view, as I'll show later on, but I think it is a big enough issue that hopefully this will be one of the major platforms of the 99 movement. So let's move on to the next person.
Go ahead.
So we're trying to figure out why we're here, and
Where do you envision this movement being in 6 months or years?
First of all, I hope that there is something recognizable from this movement in 6 months or a year. If I were giving you a utopian vision of this movement so far, from what I can tell, what it is tense with people. People are their time is available to spend here. There's a lot of people who are either homeless or just financially at risk for the first time in their life, joined by people finally after a few days. I think they were joined by people who've been financially at risk for much longer. longer, and we're saying, there's like a day of like almost blame going around of like, where the hell were you guys, and finally see what it's like in this country or whatever. That is what I hope the movement becomes, sort of dedicated to that.
So you've been doing a lot of polling, you said?
Well, we just started the idea of polling yesterday. Someone here from this tent from the education group have been doing polling early on, so they gave their results over to our group, and we're going to find some way to post them.
Do you have a website where we can find that?
Yeah, well, we have a Google spreadsheet right now, so hopefully it'll be incorporated into. We want to give it to the tech tent to put onto the web.
Now, what you saw with Robin and also with just this gentleman is probably going to be their biggest hurdle, and it's the idea that they don't even know exactly what they want to do, why they're there. I think deep down they actually do know, but articulating that and coming up with a consensus has been the problem. One thing that Robin talked to me about before the camera was turned on is that she was very adamant that whatever she says and whatever any one individual person says, that cannot, as of yet, be made to be the group's message as a whole. This gentleman was trying to get some polling together in order to really get an idea of what people wanted. Again, my theory is that people are really going to want to get money out of politics, and that is, to me, the linchpin of what is wrong with this country. But moving on from that point, I earlier in previous video criticized the movement as not necessarily wanting anything, just being relatively upset. And I think that criticism was unfair for the very reason that this is something that is just starting now. Believe it or not, the Tea Party has actually been around a lot longer than the Obama administration. As far as I know, they've been around for quite some time. They only gained public popularity in any sense after Obama got elected. Here we have the starts of a movement, and people do understand that they have these ideas that they don't like about the country, but at the same time they need to form together in order to get their message out. That is the first step. Whether or not they're going to be able to get to the second step, which is directing their message at a particular target, remains to be seen, but that's going to be the next challenge. Now, if you want someone who is relatively articulate and who seems to really know what he wants and what I really think the movement is about, let's bring you to this gentleman right now.
So, what do you think about the movement? Why are you here today?
I'm here because for, I don't know, the past 5 years, 5 to 10 years, I've been trying any way within the system to be able to influence change in my community as well as across the country. Whether it be voting, whether it be contacting my representatives, whether it be joining different groups. And as a result, I continue to look around and see basically a lot of the change is being only affected by the 1% of Americans that are rich, powerful, and involved in corporations. As a result, I believe in America. I believe in democracy. And I believe in representation of the 99% of Americans that don't have a voice right now. I mean, if you think about it, the 1% basically influence politics. Even when we get something in, they tear it to shreds anyway to prevent it from actually taking hold. Whether it be the financial recession and the Dodd-Frank Act, I mean, that was torn to crap. It hasn't even been implemented after the fact. I mean, our government is being influenced by 1% of the population, while the other 99% who want change can't be heard. I mean, there are proposals out there that have been indicated. There is plenty of solutions, but what they're doing is they're falling on deaf ears as a result of being influenced by those that don't want them done for their own special interests and needs.
All right, so is there any action that you think people should be taking? What's the most important thing to do right now?
Personally, I think the best things that people can do, besides coming down here and just getting a part, becoming a part of it, is to educate themselves and to communicate with their neighbors, with the people that they love. I mean, the reality is that politics is such a taboo subject that you have people that won't even broach the problems that are surrounding us. I mean, really, it's a matter of educating yourself instead of just listening to the same old speaking points. Watch multiple news stations. Get both angles from a subject. Don't search on the internet for what you're looking for. Do to an open web of understanding of what a specific topic is about. Because the reality is we pigeonhole ourselves, we narrow ourselves into a specific discussion and a specific side. I mean, this is not football. You'll never convince me that the Eagles are not the best team even when they're crap in the season. It's not sports. This is politics. This is trying to actually solve problems, not debating over whether your problem or your solution is the right one.
What would be what about government would you want to change? Just one. What do you think the most important thing is?
Well, I mean, I have usually a 4-point thing, but I'll go with number one is basically getting money out of politics. The reality is that money, politicians, their main goal is to get reelected. The only way they're going to get reelected is not to get your vote. That's a joke. That's not how it works. The way they get reelected is by getting campaign funding to be able to promote their message. Basically both parties are scrambling for that money to be able to then get the media play, get the information out, to be able to do what they need to do to run a campaign. They're not caring enough about governance. They care about financing basically their campaigns. Politics is their goal, not governance. But if you want to know the other quick three, one is to end big banks. I mean, the Federal Reserve basically has a noose around this country when it comes to controlling our finances and printing our money. Number two is regulation. People talk about regulation being important. That is true. But the reality is there's more regulation just to have regulation's sake and not empowering personal responsibility of the people that actually are trying to do what we need to in our government. And number three is big war. We have to stop funding the military-industrial complex. The reality is that our defense budget is like pretty much gobbling, if you put it all together, almost $1 trillion. $1 trillion for what? Who is our main enemy right now? Who's our main enemy? You know, you have terrorists. You don't need millions of dollar F-fighters to be able to bomb terrorists. What you need is your military men. You need defense. I mean, we are a landlocked country, waterlocked country. There's absolutely no reason, not only that, but the fact is the military is so disorganized, they don't even have an accountability to the money that they spend. They feed it to these corporate companies that basically build our war machine, and it's basically a welfare for them. They started out in World War II to basically say, oh, the communists are coming, the communists are coming. They create fear to be able to justify the welfare that we basically hand out, unaccountable, of being able to these programs. They don't justify them, and basically they run in huge deficits. They'd be going directly to the social programs that they're trying to cut.
Okay. Can I get your name? Is that all right?
My name's Shepard.
Commander?
Yeah, Shepard.
I am totally calling him Commander Shepard. Now, what Commander Shepard gave us, I think, is an articulate view that the vast majority of the 99 movement would agree on. And this, I think, really strikes a chord with me, because you have all of these people that agree on so many things, but their main problem is getting that message out, is honing it and focusing it. Again, my previous criticism of the movement is probably unwarranted, because this is something that is just starting. It's only a month old, whereas the Tea Party has been around for years and years and years, even before the Obama administration. So, could something come from this? Yes. The problem is it's probably going to take a while, and the main source of the publicity is people staying and protesting. The question is going to be a matter of time. Is this movement going to be able to stay in the public eye long enough to get that coherent message out? So the people that are trying to organize this, I think, are right to try to get that message honed in, to try to get a consensus and try to say, this is what we stand for. Now, I can't say I agree with everything Commander Shepard said, and of course, I don't think anyone would expect to have a complete agreement on anything. But the heart of what he's talking about, the idea that the 99 need to be heard, I think that is what the core of the issue is. And it's all, the matter is going to be just getting everyone within the movement to start saying that. It's just that we want to be heard, and we want legislation that shows that it's going to be not corporations that politicians are held accountable to, but the people. Now, lastly, I already showed this interview on my previous video, but I'm going to show it again and give more of a commentary, because I think people are taking her slightly out of context.
We hear no justice, no peace being said. What exactly does that mean?
It means until unions get their contracts, get a living wage, get health care, and all workers get a living wage, get health care, and we create jobs for all, we're going to be out in the streets making noise.
Okay, so completely nonviolent.
Non-violent.
Okay, I thought so. Just
Yeah.
there's going to be people I think that are going to try to twist that around.
Right.
Why are you here?
We're here because we need jobs in America now. We have record unemployment, and we need job creation, and we need Washington to get moving on that.
What's the most important thing you think Washington should do to fix the problem?
Job creation and funding for jobs, and making it easier for workers to organize so that we're creating good jobs.
How important is getting money out of politics to you?
Sorry?
How important is getting money out of politics to you?
Getting money out of politics? I think until we get corporate funding out of politics, our politicians are going to be bought.
Anything you want to ask them? No. Thank you very much. Can I get your name? Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm Gwen Snyder. I'm the director of Philadelphia Jobs with Justice.
Do you have a website?
Yes, phillyjwj.org.
phillyjwj.org?
Yeah, phillyjwj.org.
Awesome. Thank you.
So what we have here is a person who's basically for getting better jobs and getting more of them. Now, she was criticized in the comment section of the last video by what she said about job funding. Now, I don't think that was necessarily fair. Now, if you are a libertarian and you take a laissez-faire attitude as far as how you want the government to react to the economy, then for the moment, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. That discussion is going to be a little bit later. But if you don't think the government should have a laissez-faire attitude, a hands-off attitude towards economics and job creation, then I don't have any problem then with what she's saying. I think what she's actually saying isn't that the government's just going to dish out money to give people jobs, but that the government should fund programs to create jobs. Her website seems to be very pro-union, and I'm very pro-union. Because I believe that gives power to the people rather than to just people that have the money. Now, I've sent her a request to do a more in-depth interview because this was basically off the cuff. This was in the middle of the parade and she only gave us about a minute or two. So hopefully she'll accept that and we'll be able to have a more in-depth discussion. But otherwise, I don't think that... I think that what she said is pretty much what a lot of people want. The American Jobs Act that Obama was putting out definitely has the majority of American support. I think the last estimate was around 62%. Congress is still shutting it down, but yeah, that's kind of the point of the movement. Congress is shutting down something that's popular because they're not answering to the American people, they're answering to their donors. And what the movement should be about is getting our government to listen to the people rather than the money. So that's about it for the commentary, for the footage that I put here. There's more footage, but I don't really feel a lot of it is good enough for this video. I might post it later. And I have an upcoming video about some other political things. Don't worry, we're still going on with religious stuff. But other than that, have a nice day. Honest Discussioner, out.